What's up, y'all? So I was reading a little story today, and I got something to share. So I was reading Judges, chapter 7 to chapter 8 today, and I was reading about the boy Gideon, which is a fun story. If you haven't read it, definitely read it after this video. I highly recommend it. But it made me think about, its applicability today. Like we should think about all the stories in the Bible. And so I just wanted to share my thoughts about that. And it's simply that sometimes God will put us in impossible situations. And it's not because he hates you. It's not because he hates you. It's because he wants you to see his glory. He wants you to see his glory, and he also wants you to rely on him. He just wants to see you depend on him. And sometimes we just don't do that unless we're forced to do that in an impossible situation. And for Gideon here in this story, so here's what it says. Early in the morning, Gideon and all his men camped at the spring of Harod. The camp of Midian was north of them in the valley near the hill of Morah. And so what's going on right now? They want to go fight the Midianites. And so at this point through the Old Testament, it's been a lot back and forth of Israel coming back to the Lord, then leaving the Lord and worshiping other gods. And then because of that, they end up in oppression and being taken over by other nations, and then they end up crying out to the Lord, and he saves them again. And here's one of those instances of them crying out to the Lord. Then the Lord gives them Gideon to hear his voice and to direct them and free them, give them a little bit of peace. So the Lord said to Gideon, "You have too many men. I cannot deliver Midian into their hands, or Israel would boast against me. My own strength has saved me. Now announce to the army, anyone who trembles with fear may turn back and leave Mount Gilead." So 22,000 men left, while 10,000 remained. And so long story short, they end up with 300 men. Just let me double check here. I don't always have the best memory. It's the first time I've actually read this. Yep, 300. So they started out with 22,000 men left, while 10,000 remained. So they started out with 32,000 men. Gonna go fight a battle. 32,000 men. If you read the story, they go through couple things. First one, tremble with fear. You guys leave and go back. Now it's 22,000 of them. Then there's 10,000 left. And then they whittle it down to 300 men to go fight this battle. And then let's also think about those 300 men, right? So those 300 men, do you think they're feeling very lucky, like they won the lottery? I think it depends on the faith of those men. But I would imagine many of them might have felt like, why me? Why me? 300 out of 32,000, and I'm here in these companies going to fight this battle that doesn't make any sense. But those were the ones who got to see his glory. Just those 300 people. And actually I would imagine maybe the 300 that were left were the ones who had enough faith to carry out and accomplish the task. I don't know. And I'm sure the Lord worked it out that way, right? He is the master planner. But it's just that we find ourselves in impossible situations, not because God hates us, but because he wants us to show his glory, that it could not be shown any other way. And let's be honest, they're talking about the Israelites here. Israel would boast and say it was because of my own strength. We're just like that today. We talk about the stiff-necked people. We're all stiff-necked people. And we tend to think that everything we do is or everything that happens is because of us. Every victory, every great thing, it's all because of us. We're very, we like that. We like to think that. But the reality is, God's always in the details, and sometimes God wants to make his glory very well known. So he'll put out an impossible situation and say, here you go. Trust me and see what happens. And another interesting thing about this too. Now the camp of Midian lay below him in the valley. During that night, the Lord said to Gideon, "Get up, go down against the camp, because I am going to give it into your hands. If you are afraid to attack, go down to the camp with your servant Purah and listen to what they are saying. Afterward, you will be encouraged to attack the camp." So he and Purah and his servant went down to the outposts of the camp. The Midianites, the Amalekites, and all the other eastern peoples had settled in the valley, thick as locusts. Their camels could no more be counted than the sand on the seashore. So it's letting you know, yeah, that sounds like a lot more than 300 people. If could no more be counted than the sand on the seashore. And those are the camels. Those are the camels. Gideon arrived just as a man was telling a friend his dream. "I had a dream," he was saying. A round loaf of barley bread came tumbling into the Midianite camp. It struck the tent with such force that the tent overturned and collapsed. His friend responded, "This can be nothing other than the sword of Gideon, son of Joash, the Israelite. God has given the Midianites and the whole camp into his hands." When Gideon heard the dream and its interpretation, he bowed down and worshipped. He returned to the camp of Israel and called out, "Get up! The Lord has given the Midianite camp into your hands." And then it goes on to detail just how they accomplished that, which is also supernatural. They don't go in there and slay them at all. So the 300 that maybe for a moment felt a little unlucky, they become the lucky ones, because they actually don't even end up having to go down and fight any battles at all. God completely fights the battle for them. But what I loved about that was God's even like, hey, if you're afraid to attack, go down and listen. You'll be encouraged. And it's like he's graceful to give us those glimpses of encouragement in impossible situations. I just loved how that displayed his character. But really, that was it, y'all. So I mean, next time you find yourself in an impossible situation, instead of thinking, why me? Why is this happening to me? Why does God dislike me so much? Maybe think about, how is God trying to show me his glory in this situation? And don't even just think about it. Pray about it. Pray about it. Say, "God, how are you trying to show me your glory in this situation? The situation looks impossible. I don't see how this is going to end well. Show me your glory. Show me to trust in you." It's all really about trust and faith. That's why they call it faith. And if we can have that faith, I think we will see impossible circumstances turn into amazing testimonies. Much love, y'all.